Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bergen Stages Television. I'm Jim Bumgardner, your host. Today we have two wonderful actors in our upcoming drama by Ibsen called An Enemy of the People. So please welcome with me to our show, Russell Hollen and John Kroehner. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hi.
Well, thank you.
How you doing?
Nice to be here.
Yeah? You're all right? So we're gonna talk a little bit about the show in a little bit, but I want the audience to get to know a little bit about you, where you're from, where you went to high school, that sort of thing. So Russell, why don't I start with you?
Well, I'm from Teaneck, and I went to the high school there over at Teaneck High for 4 years, and that's pretty much where I got into theater and all that and started acting. Now I'm just here at Bergen right now.
And you're a theater major here at Bergen?
Yes, I am.
Acting? General theater. Great, great. We'll talk about that in just a second. John, where did we get you from?
I am from Hillsdale, New Jersey. I went to Pascagoula Valley High School, and I'm just taking my sweet time here at Bergen. Yeah.
And you're, at this point, a cinema studies major, do I remember
Yeah,
that right?
yes, but I'm going to be switching.
We're going to switch over before it's over. Did you do any shows while you were in high school?
Yes, a few, Romeo and Juliet.
Who'd you play in Romeo and Juliet?
One of Juliet and Romeo.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, a few other plays. I don't even remember at the top of my head anymore.
But you started early, like ninth grade, or was this?
Oh
like a
yeah,
senior
ninth
year?
grade. Yeah. But I never did any musicals. I would sometimes get cast as the ensemble, and then I just switch the crew or something.
Say I'm better off stage singing than on stage singing.
Definitely,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
And how about you, Russell? Anything shows in high school?
Well, I did, what was the name of it? And Then There Were None was one show that I very much loved. And I'm trying to, The Curious Savage actually was the first show I did.
Wow. In high school? That's
yeah.
an interesting choice for a high school to do.
Everyone thought that at the time. It was definitely a little out of left field, but it was still just a really enjoyable performance, and that's kind of what gave me the spark.
And now here at Bergen, you've done a few things. What shows have you done while you've been at BCC?
Well, the first one was, of course, one of my favorites, and that was Complete Female Stage Beauty.
And you both were
Charles.
in that. Right.
Yeah, we were both
Charles
in that
II.
one.
Right.
And from there, went over to Veronica's Room.
Right.
That was a very intense drama.
Boy.
And now I'm in this one, Enemy of the People.
What, South
Pacific.
Stupot. Yeah.
That was a fun little role. I enjoyed that one a lot.
So you've done 4 really great shows while you're here so far.
And all little varied roles, all different in their own little ways.
Definitely, yeah, and time period, and now a new time period for you in this particular show. And John,
definitely an interesting.
Right, yeah. John, what have you done since you've been here? What shows? Complete.
The Rivals, The Clouds.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Great.
I think that's it.
Did you guys do Young Playwrights Festival? Have you been involved?
Yes.
You wrote in it as well.
I wrote it, and I was in.
And
a
you were
couple,
in it. Yeah.
yes.
Have you done that, Russell, yet?
Not
or
personally. Not
comedy
on Young
improv?
Playwrights.
Comedy improv?
I might be doing comedy improv soon, but no, I haven't done Young Playwrights.
Great, and that's a great opportunity for people that have their comedy skills and they want to do it. A theater club does this comedy improv night, so that's kind of fun. Cool. So I'm gonna ask you a question that I don't think I've ever asked on the show before, and that's, why did you want to become an actor? What was it that said, this is what I think I want to do? What do you know, John? Start with Russell. Okay. What made you? What bug bit you? What encouraged you?
It's kind of, it wasn't really an idea that this was something that could even, like, it never struck me as an option, as something that could be done as a career until later in life when I saw that there were classes for it around early high school, late middle school. I really just started taking the classes as something just kind of easy to take, just something fun and easy. And through doing it, I don't know, I just kind of fell in love with the actual action of it, just acting on that stage.
Did you do these classes before you'd ever auditioned for a show, or was the auditioning, which came first, I guess?
The classes came first, and I had to audition for some of the shows eventually. Like the first acting class I took actually in 8th grade, middle school, I had to audition. Was this play that they had wrote, The Man Was King, about the history of Martin Luther King. And just something about that, like, I just liked the accomplishment you feel when you get your role right and you can do it well and people enjoy it. It's just a rush.
Oh, cool.
I kind of fell in love with it ever since then.
Oh, nice. So there was sort of a bug that bit you, but you didn't know what it was biting you for, it sounds like.
Exactly, and as I got later in high school, I realized that this is something that can actually be good career, something I actually really enjoyed doing professionally, and I
And something
decided
you're
to
good
make
at.
it, my life.
So John?
Mine was a little. There's a couple steps to, like when I was younger, I would watch movies and it would make me, if I was feeling upset or something, some movies would really make me feel better, and I guess I kind of wanted to do that for other people one day. So like to be in a movie and to help somebody else feel better, and then it got to be like I wanted to inspire others the way that they inspired me. But then, I started to actually, that was like to become like big and famous, just to. Not for myself, but to spread the wealth, I guess, in a way. I don't. That sounds stupid.
No, I get what you're saying. I think.
And then once I started doing it, I really started loving the craft of it. And then inhabiting a character, learning about yourself, and getting in touch with your own feelings to try and understand somebody else's, and to understand why you're doing all these things. And
that's cool.
It's really, it's just a really cool art form that not really anything else.
So in a way now you kind of understand how that actor way back when you're watching film did it. How their craft is part of what made you get
Absolutely.
so. Was it like a cathartic moment, or just kind of a disappear into the film and forget about things for a while? Or was it like I understand myself now?
Yeah, I don't.
You were young.
I know. It was a really long time ago, and it wasn't until like pretty recently, like the past few years, when I really, or even 5 years or something, that I really just like knew what acting was and started to understand what makes acting so great.
Wow, well there's a great segue. What makes acting? How do you do this? What people think, it's called acting, pretend, and you make believe, and it's called a play, like a playground, and it's all fun and games. But you're saying there's a craft behind this.
Well, I think if anything, it's reacting. It's listening to the other character and responding to what they're doing, and there is. There could be acting involved, like character choices, and character developments in terms of, if you're playing an old person, which I've done a few times now, putting on that voice and putting on that walk and physicality and stuff. But then there's also just being yourself and letting because what you bring to the table is something different than what he'll bring to the table or anybody
Even
else.
if it were the same role.
Even if it's the same role.
If I was casting Russell, I'd expect certain things out of Russell, and not to have a Russell interpretation, and have a Russell interpretation of the role and a John interpretation of the role.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. Anything to add to that about this craft?
Well, I do agree that the reacting is just as important as the actions. You have to think at all times when you're on the stage, what would my character be thinking? What would he think about? What a line he would have, say, like, how would I react to that? What would I do? What am I thinking at any given time? It almost becomes like a puzzle. Like at any given moment, what is the correct expression? What makes the most sense at that time? And it can be just a little challenging sometimes, I guess, when some other people far off stage are having a conversation and you have to stand there and think like, okay, what do I do now? Like, how do I look?
Yeah. And it's spontaneous. It needs to be, as they say, in the moment. So you have to be, if John delivered a line a certain way tonight, it might create a different reaction from you. So if you're in the moment right then, that reaction is just going to be kind of organic. Exactly. Oh my God, we're getting deep into this, aren't we?
That's great.
But it's good stuff to talk about. Do you have? Are you guys thinking film for in the future, or you like stage? And do you know?
I personally do like the stage. There's just kind of a certain element of that live thing that, I don't know, there's just that feeling in the air when you're on the stage and there's the audience out there right in front of you that I really like. As much as I do love film, I think if I had to choose, it'd be stage. I mean, whichever one comes first, let's be honest.
Yeah, you're not going to be choosy, but...
Take what I can get.
Yeah. You think of the same thing?
I mean, I started off with loving film, but because it's just so intimate and so personal, you can get right up in the face and get every little emotion, But then with theater, which I've only learned by doing it so many times, is like to inhabit the whole character for one duration of like 2.5 hour period and just living the whole character all the way through and getting the arc down like in one swift motion. And it helps you stay in the the moments better, because with movies, they could do the first scene or the last scene the first day, and then
Right. So out of order that you don't feel the accomplishment that you do on stage.
Right,
It's such
yeah.
a great thing to have that arc, as you've said,
Yeah.
that kind of gets you through the play itself. Do you have any actors that you guys go, oh, that's
Yeah, definitely.
who's your
Daniel Day-Lewis, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Tom Hanks.
anybody else on top of that?
Oh God, a lot of those classics too. Yeah, Robert De Niro, of course. Obviously Al Pacino.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
And it's a wonder, all of them continue to take acting classes. So a lot of people think once you become the star, this mega star, that you can stop, but they still continue to take classes to keep the instrument kind of going.
Yeah,
there.
it's like a workout kind of, or something like
Go
a
to the
sport.
gym.
You need to go to the gym.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it going, keep it alive, keep it fresh. So that's kind of cool. So let me, before we get into talking about Enemy of the People, because this is so much to talk about, what was the auditions like to get into this play? How
They were unique compared to other auditions.
Ken Boniface is directing it, yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely unique compared to how we've usually done it. A lot of the times we would read scenes kind of in pairs, like in the stage, but for this one we all kind of went into one room together as a group, and we all read lines with each other, like sitting around in a circle, like with it passing around from person to person, and we were all there throughout the entire audition. So it was definitely it was different having everyone's eyes on you the entire time instead of just being there for the one scene. But it was something else to think about.
Could you learn from what that person just did, or did you thought, no, I got my own thing here? Was it
definitely.
helpful to do it, or did you?
I thought so. I mean, it was a little, I don't know.
It was a bit of both.
Yeah.
You kind of had to parse through it because there were some things that some people would do and you would get a guideline of it. Like if they played something up a bit more, that would give you an idea like, okay, I should try to play that up a bit more, but maybe you didn't want to go as far as they did. So you try to figure out a good middle ground.
So it's kind of cool to maybe even do that.
Yeah.
Maybe not every audition you ever do, but it was kind of interesting.
Right. It was kind of like the way that a callback is usually done, kind of.
So you were already there at that point,
Yeah.
but doing it still in front of a group of people as
Right,
opposed to.
yeah.
And you were like thrown into the same role that you try to read for. So this might time into what you guys were saying earlier about how what Russell brings to the table for the same role that John brings is kind of a
Yeah, which is interesting because we read for Dr. Stockman and Peter like constantly.
Yeah,
so like
back
we were
and
kind
forth.
of
back and forth playing it.
So we were reading against each other with the different roles and stuff. So it was interesting.
And obviously by that Ken was able to see which of your, that you wanted to put into, he wanted to put into the role there. Well, that's kind of cool. And so congratulations, you both got cast in the show. And so you've been rehearsing. You started early into this rehearsal process. And how's it going?
Very
Pretty
well.
good,
It's all right,
actually.
right, right,
Yeah, everything's been going pretty solidly. Everything's definitely going to be well put together by the time we open.
Good. So I want to talk after the break. I want to talk a little bit more in detail about the subject matter of this show, because I think it's an interesting topic and a very timely topic, which I think is kind of cool too. But let's get back into creating this character. I know that Marie Natali is our costume designer, and she likes to furnish things for actors to wear during the rehearsal process. Do you find that helpful? Do you find it doesn't matter? Do you?
Very much so. I know, at least for me specifically, there's certain things that I have on in pretty much every scene, specifically a hat and a cane. And if I didn't have that with every rehearsal, it'd be a little weird getting to the showtime and figuring out what to do with them. So it kind of helps me develop the character a bit with, like, how attached am I to these items? How do I interact with them and all of that?
Oh, interesting. And is that other props? Do you think other props do that too for you? If you have the actual prop that you're working with, like the cane?
Oh, definitely. It always helps to have something in hand.
If there's a
instead of just-
typewriter or a pen or a book or something that you're holding.
Yeah, and I have like a suit jacket or something, which I probably won't have accessible pockets, so it's helpful to like have something to hold on to, or just like you look down and it's a little bit more fancy.
Yeah.
Because in the show, she's giving me like a whole getup and.
Kind of helps you stand a little
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
'Cause
definitely.
we don't wear jackets all the time, this isn't kind of our
Exactly,
thing
yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
But suddenly you do, and you go, oh, well, I have to have to put myself, if I'm buttoning it or
Yeah,
something like that,
yeah.
I'm just suddenly standing completely different, which changes John. You know, this
Right.
isn't John anymore. Now this is John.
whole
now becoming
physicality
this
is
kind
part of it,
character.
so yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Oh, that's kind of cool. So it's helpful to have these little things to
Yeah, and she's great, obviously.
Mary's awesome.
She's a
Yeah,
genius.
yeah, finds what you need and just listens to the actor. Well, we're going to take a short break now, and we're going to come back and we're going to get into in-depth talking about Enemy of the People. So we'll come right back, so please join us.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent? 1 in 260,000. The odds of this born racer having 157 career top 10 finishes in NASCAR? 1 in 125 billion. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I'm NASCAR driver Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Hello and welcome back to Bergen Stages Television. Today we have two special guests with us, Russell Hollen and John Kroehner, from our upcoming production of Ibsen's An Enemy of the Peoples. And before the break we were just kind of talking about creating these characters. So why don't we talk now about the characters you're playing. You're actually playing brothers in this production. So tell me a little bit about Dr. Stockton.
All right, so
Stockman.
Dr. Stockman is a scientist and a doctor. Well, he's more of a doctor, and they're in this town, this Norwegian town. It was written like in 1883 or 82. And it's like there's a spring in the town, this natural body of water, and then they build a health institute, and it becomes like this resort town that people come from all over the world to come here and even get cured. They think like the water is going to cure them, and so
Like a spa.
like
it's
a
kind
spa.
of like a wonderful spa to go.
That's
yeah.
exactly what it is. And so then, so there's this doctor in this town, and he realizes that people are getting sick, have been getting sick for the past couple summers. So he does research on the water and some test samples, and he finds out that it's actually poisoned by a tannery, a pill, and so there's all this waste coming into it, and it's poisoned, and people are getting sick from it. And so he finds this out, and that's where the play starts, is when he finds that it's actually poison.
Gets the test results
He gets
back,
the test results.
finding about that. Is he from the town, or did he come to the town? Are they?
He is from
He's
the
from
town.
the town, yeah.
He leaves for a while, and then he comes back, and he starts up this whole spring, thinking it's going to be this great thing, all great intentions. But then he finds out that it's poisoned from his father. There's
Father-in-law, yeah, there's all this family
all
stuff,
this family stuff. So there's all this drama. So he finds out that it's poison. So he tries to do something about it, as you would. You know,
As a good scientist would like to say, warning world, this
Exactly.
is not a good thing. Let me-
And so at first it's a great thing, and he's like, well, this is a good thing I found this out, blah, blah, blah. But his brother is the mayor of the town.
And what do you think of this? I'm sorry to interrupt, John. What do you think of his discovery? What does your character think of this discovery?
Well, my character is a little nervous about it because he is both the mayor of the town and chairman of the board for the Springs. So he's
okay.
in charge of both the town and the Springs. He can't really let this word get out because this has been kind of, a huge windfall for the town. It's been risen up on these springs. So if word did get around to the public that it was poisoned or whatever, the town would go bust and everything would go wrong. He would be personally blamed. I think he feels that. So he does everything in his power to kind of suppress this information, make sure it doesn't get out.
So it's not about cleaning up the springs for him at first. It's more about, let's just not let people know that we have this problem.
Yes, that's his first priority. He keeps mentioning that he can let Dr. Stockman eventually make his changes, but he would rather make those changes secretly while people are getting poisoned in the meantime.
And how do you feel about that? How does...
get very angry about that because it's all about the suppression of truth and what are facts and are they important, and politics and the corruption and just the money that, you know, like, because it is
The
it
greed,
would,
yeah,
it would
that
be
greed, yeah.
the greed. It would be an inconvenience to rebuild a whole new one. It would be a risk that people wouldn't come back, and there's a lot of money that's involved, and it would take a lot of time, like 2 years, to rebuild a whole new thing. So that's why he doesn't want to do it. But, you know, people are getting poisoned. You know.
Help us remember. So it's like the water comes down from the mountains to get to these springs. It's channeled down through.
Yeah.
And so you want to redirect that channeling.
I want to build the Health Institute, the springs, to a higher level so that way it doesn't flow into the water.
the leaching doesn't happen
Yeah.
from the tannery, and this will cost the town some money.
Oh, at least 300,000 crowns in their currency.
And we're talking 100 years ago, so that's quite a lot of money. Yeah. And so as the play proceeds, you're obviously getting trouble with the press because of your
Right.
kind brother.
I have friends who at first are on board with me. They think this is great too. The whole town's going to find out, and we're going to get this solved and settled. But he gets to them and tells them that, you know, what his fears about how it's going to ruin the town. There's businesses, you know, they're all family businesses, and they're all going to go out of business if these people stop coming to this town.
For a couple of years to fix it. That's
Yeah,
gonna ta-
and so it's just, you know, it's going to ruin this whole town. So then they go against me because they don't want to, first of all, go out of print. You know, they don't want to go out of business themselves, but they also don't want the town to be destroyed. So there's a whole, and so I have this moral dilemma of, do I just pretend like I don't know anything as this doctor, or do I fight for the truth? You know.
Wow. A drama with a moral dilemma.
Yeah.
True tragedy.
Go figure.
And so Dr. Stockman becomes the enemy of the people.
Essentially,
He
yeah.
becomes the person, the outcast.
Yeah.
What happens towards the end of the play? It's a spoiler alert, but we know where we're going with this
Yeah.
because
So-
we're poo-pooing science for greed.
So he holds this whole mass meeting with the whole town, and nobody wants to listen to him. Nobody wants to, you know, everyone's kind of wants to be ignorant towards this fact that the springs are poison, and no one wants anything to do with it. And because they understand that if it is, then they're going to go out of business, and so they just don't want to believe it. And
You were at that meeting too, aren't you? This town hall kind of meeting there?
Yes, my character realizes what's going on, and this is kind of the last stand, because if he does get this information off at the meeting unfiltered, then, you know, people might actually believe the doctor. So he goes there to the meeting to kind of influence the public against a certain way, against the doctor. He kind of whips up a panic about him. He's part of the reason why the crowd gets so hysterical. He just kind of whips them up into this frenzy.
And what are you trying to ruin his reputation? Is that the point of the mayor?
I don't think he's trying to go quite that far. He's just very zealous in trying to get this information just blocked off, like deny anyone from hearing this information. And I think he kind of goes overboard. You know, we'll see how, but you know, he doesn't try to exactly ruin him. That just becomes part of, just gets swept up in the crowd. The crowd itself builds up to that idea in their own fervor.
This angry
in the
mob,
moment.
and
Yeah.
they end up hating him. I mean,
Yeah.
throwing rocks through the windows of your
Yes,
house
yeah.
as we end it. Where does this take us?
So then, yeah, so all these rocks get thrown through my window, and so now I'm left with deciding, you know, now my family's in danger, and my son comes home from school, and
That's
he
right,
just
yeah, the
and just got
kids.
beat up, and because they're bullying him for, you know, your father's a liar and blah blah blah, and so now I have this. Now it's not just me. They hate my whole family. My whole family's the end of the people. So what do I do? So at first, I'm planning on leaving to go to America, and there will probably be better. But once my son comes home and I see that he's getting beaten up for this suppression of truth, I have this new bolt of lightning or whatever to stay here, and now I'm gonna fight this out, and we're gonna try and push through. And the last line of the play is strong people are alone or something. In order to be strong, you have to be alone.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
now we're
Such an important line, too.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. That's what Ibsen does. You think you're going to go in the obvious direction. Oh, leave, get the heck out of there.
Right.
You know, And he, Doll's House same way. Oh, she's going to kill herself because she dishonored the family. And she said, "Bye, Torville, I'm out of here."
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of an interesting that he's stronger than this
Definitely.
mob, which is kind of an interesting thing, and such a timely play. Do you guys talk about current issues that are happening? We think about Flint, Michigan, and
Once in a
their
while,
water
yeah.
problems.
It kind of, you can't help but mention these things right now, given everything, just the whole, what is the truth? You kind of can't avoid discussions like that.
Yeah, and that's a good thing.
It's so relevant. I mean, like, even just the other day talking about how the global warming and there are people that don't want to listen to it or believe it because it's inconvenient. It costs a lot of money to do a different thing. There's so much political corruptness in, with the Koch brothers and the fossil fuels and there's so much business that is done in the opposition of, to try and prevent this global warming, like just going in the wrong direction constantly.
Right. And no, like you're saying, it's kind of in the face of greed. It's more of, if
Right.
I do follow those guidelines, I'm going to have to do these modifications that's going to cost my plant money,
Right.
which is now, so let's say that they're crazy or that that's not the truth,
Right.
and I can keep my way. So yeah, wow.
And
Wow,
yeah.
wow. And we're fortunate on the 13th, that Thursday of our production week, we have a panel discussion after the show. We've got a great people, Stacy Balkin, Robert Dill are leading it up, a panel to talk about climate change issue, to talk about science, alternative facts, those kind of things. So it'll be an interesting thing. So and hopefully you guys will stick around
Yeah,
to
I'm
talk
very
about
excited for
your perspective of it. I'm sure they would really enjoy hearing, because they know that you've been living this drama for so long that it's kind of neat to have you give your perspective of it. Yeah. So now we're heading into tech. Oh, I'm sorry, were you going to say something else? So now we're heading into our tech part of the week, which will get us a setup. It's a 3-act play, which is interesting, but it goes by quick. I mean, I know in reading it, I haven't seen yet until next week will I see production, but 3 acts, and it's great. It just kind of zooms through this story, but takes you on this journey. This is Arthur Miller's work in here. What do you like this translation? Because of course,
absolutely.
we're not doing it in Norwegian, which it was originally written, so we're doing this Arthur Miller translation. How does that language? Does it feel Arthur Miller?
It's definitely not too strange.
It's not strange at all.
Nothing really struck me when I was reading it as wonky, and everything was worded.
Did you read any of the other
normally.
translations? I don't know if you've even compared, because there's others that are wonky.
Yeah, bits and pieces.
Yeah,
The first
yeah.
version I was reading had some side-by-side comparisons to talk about the choices that Miller made.
Yeah.
Some things were definitely worded a little oddly. So I do very much like this.
It's clunky, and so I do. I think you're right. I think Ken chose the right translation for us to be doing. And now you have Mike Hessleitner and Michael Lapointe building the set. So they're in there working all day trying to get the set finished for you, painted all that. As I talked about Marie's set, we have Jared Saltzman and Graham Fry are co-designing the lights for this show, a 3-act show. I guess we need a lot of lights on you guys at all times. And Dean Matson is doing sound. So I know there's sound effects, there's crowd sounds, there's all sorts of things. So we've got a great crew there. We've got Crispy and McKenna as your stage managers working on the play. So things are happening. You're ready for opening night. So we're opening on April 7th. So that's coming up on April 7th, and we'll run for two weekends. Do you like a long run like that? Do you like 2 weekends? I know some schools only did 1 weekend. Do you find there's a growth in those 2 weekends?
Oh, definitely. My old high school just did the 1 weekend, and it's so nice to just have the second weekend to come back to it and be able to do it again.
What you learned, because once you do it right, you're kind of frozen in that for those 3-4 performances, and then you have that break to go, okay, what did I learn? What did the audience give me, and all that kind of stuff.
And there's so much work that goes into it that to only do it once.
Oh, it's such a shame. It's even 2s just seems like,
Yeah.
Well, I'm so thrilled that you guys were on the show today. I can't believe time's up at this point. But break a leg with opening night. I know you guys will be brilliant, even though you probably hate each other by middle of the characters. I hate each other by mid-show there. So it's the production is An Enemy of the People. It's a drama written by Henrik Ibsen with a translation by Arthur Miller, opening on April 7th in our Saccone Theater. So please join us. Join these guys. Stick around after the show. If you come on April 13th, that will be the talkback, our talkback about global warming, about the water issue, the precious resource that we all need to live. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Bergen Stages Television.
Bye.